Oh, hey there. I noticed you previously, but I was just kind of hoping you'd leave on your own. But so since you're still here, I assume you want a story? Ah, excellent. I'm going to tell you the story of a game that at launch was loved by its fan base, but it was still heavily flawed. But their constant free updates became something great. That game is, of course, Kirby's Star Allies. So Sonic Frontiers is almost a year old, and since it got free DLC recently, at least I hope recently, I don't know when this video is coming out, I decided I might as well make a video about this game. Since the last time I did, I immediately ran off a cliff and died in the first 7 seconds. Yeah, that wasn't great. But here we are, Sonic Frontiers Round 2. I'm going to be talking about this game as it currently is, so if a feature or bug fix they added in one of the free updates comes up, I'm just going to talk about it as part of the game, since this is pretty much the definitive edition. Okay, so I promise I will break the regular Sonic review archetype of being overly negative and try to go in with a positive mindset, since I actually liked this game the first time. Man, that loading icon looks really bad. So we start the game, we get some Eggman found footage of him going through the woods in his Eggmobile. He then puts a frisbee with his name on it onto this wall, and the wall, thinking it was a yummy snack, sucks it in, taking him with it. We then cut to Sonic and crew flying towards the Chaos Islands, at least that's what I think they're called anyways. Apparently the Chaos Emeralds all got scared and ran here for some reason, so we're coming here to track them down. But randomly out of nowhere, Tails starts having a seizure and causes the plane to crash into a portal. And it's time to experience a brand new adventure. Why do I feel like somebody's made this joke before? As an introduction to our new Sonic game, this does not feel great. Sonic feels clunky to control, and not to mention where we are. Okay, I'm going to be honest, I've actually never cared too much about the Green Hill debate. I mean, I kind of just associate Sonic with Green Hill at this point, so who really cares? I mean, it would be cool if they were more creative, but it's just the first stage, so they're probably gonna be more creative with what they do and abandon it later on. Why do I bother lying to you? Anyway, Sonic falls out of the metaverse and asks this trippy voice in the sky where he is, and it responds with saying that he can get out of cyberspace, which is awesome. And he asks if he can save his friends by doing that, and Sonic, you don't know if they're in trouble yet. Why are you asking? God, I hate video games. We should kill the people who make these. Anyways, it's tutorial time. They do this basic yucky tutorial of making text boxes appear everywhere. I mean, they could have just made it to where those little question mark things you walked into, like the ones you saw a second ago in Cyberspace, which honestly would have been cool, so returning players don't have to see these, but it's whatever. It's not that obtrusive. This is, in fact, a tutorial, so it's not that bad. Anyway, after jumping on buttons and hitting the homing attack button 4 times, we make it to a temple where we get jumped by some evil robots. How will Sonic survive this onslaught? From there we up the stairs and make it to our first semi-boss, Ninja. I'll talk about the combat in a bit, but all you should know for now is that I was able to epically outskill him by perfectly timed parrying. Look at me go. Anyway, Sonophrenic, letting that voice in the sky guide him, leads us to one of those things Eggman was trying to impregnate from earlier. She tells us to go into it, knowing we can't, then makes fun of us, that prick. We need to go find another gear, like the gear we got from that ninja from earlier. We get it and go through another level. Might as well start talking about these. This is 1-2, Angel Island Zone. Hold on, I need a filtration. God, that felt good. I'm not talking about every Cyberspace level, only the ones I find notable, and this one is in fact notable. Yeah, for no reason whatsoever, this one's S rank is notoriously hard to get. Literally, nobody knows why, only this level is difficult in the entire game. It's hilarious. I'll talk about Cyberspace more later. Let's finish off the tutorial first. We get Pokemon 707, and we get our first Chaos Emerald with that. After grabbing that, we are finally free from the tutorial, and I can stop speaking like this. We are now free to go experience the general gameplay loop of kill Beastie or do challenge to get gears, use gears to activate cyberspace portals, beat cyberspace levels to get keys, use keys to get Chaos Emeralds, and do something with Chaos Emeralds. But it's off to go save our friends on Kronos Island, your playground for everything Sonic. Running, jumping, surprisingly good combat, all that. Well, now that we're here, our first objective is to go and save Amy, who's been trapped in a Christmas ornament. Beating cyberspace levels or collecting Chaos Emeralds won't free her, only exploring the overworld can and collecting the little tokens. Every island has them, and it changes based on the island and character. But for right now, they're hearts. We need enough of them to free her from her jail, so we're off to go to the get those. We're gonna go to get those. While I'm here, let's talk about those aptly mentioned levels from before. This is Cyberspace. These levels are supposed to be Sonic's memories, which is why they are exactly 4 level themes, and almost entirely reused levels. Okay, so if these are supposed to be Sonic's memories, I feel really bad for this guy, because what kind of selective memory are these? Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Angel Island, and some random new city stage. That would be like if all your memories were your birthday, your graduation party, the Kennedy assassination, and that one time you ate cereal weirdly. They honestly could have just made all of these have the same aesthetic, and in some kind of computery dimension, but I guess being fucking cheap works too. If they just made one aesthetic, that would have been fine, honestly. But they put more effort in, and to make it seem like they put less effort in. I'll get back to that in just a second, but I need to talk about the second thing first. So a lot of these are reused level designs from older Sonic games. That makes sense considering these are supposed to be Sonic's memories. I mean, you could say them chalking this up to being Sonic's memories would be a cheap excuse to reuse older level designs and try to pass it off as a cute thing. Anyway, not all of them are reused, however. Some of them are new, like the first one or this 2D one, also present in the first area. Yeah, 2D is back, and for some reason, he moves like way slower in 2D, which feels gross. Why does it feel this wrong? We have level designs from a bunch of different games, like Sonic Adventure 2, or Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Adventure 2, and maybe Generations. But if you've played Generations and Adventure 2, you would know one thing. Well, hopefully more than one thing, but one thing for certain. They play way fucking differently than each game other than those. Sonic Adventure 2 has a whole boost mechanic that makes you move at light speed, which Frontiers has, but Adventure 2 doesn't have.
That sentence is gibberish.
Why am I bringing up all of this? Well, that's because Sonic Frontiers Sonic controls closer to how he does in Generations than Adventure 2, and they use level designs from Adventure 2. Do you see the issue? It feels very weird to be playing through these level designs from SA2 with a Sonic that was not built for them. Even the Generations ones feel off. Sonic had a drift move in Generations he doesn't have access to in this one. So in this one part of Green Hill from that game where you have to drift, he kind of just meanders his way into a wall.
God, I fucking hate video games!
It might sound like I really hate this, but honestly, I don't care very much. The only 3D Sonics I've played are Generations, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Colors if that counts in 06, but I don't think we'll be seeing any level designs from that game taken. And even so, I've played each of those games once except SA2, so I doubt I'll even recognize most of these. I just genuinely don't care very much about the reuse of level designs. But it makes you question though, why the hell didn't they just steal the models from the older games too? It would have been really cool looking to see a high-res Sonic running through these low polygonal areas. I mean, hey, if you're reusing Go Big or Go Home, right? But as it is, it's fine barring the lack of unique themes. Like, you made one new level theme, why not make more? Now, all of this makes it seem like Cyberspace levels are pretty whatever, but they get even more whatever when you're talking about how Sonic controls in these things. So I think I put it best in my original video. Sonic controls like butter in this game. In the overworld, he controls very well, just like sliding through butter. Everything flows together. I'll get to that in a second, but in Cyberspace, he controls like butter. Cold, hard, accidentally launched across the kitchen counter because the knife got stuck, butter. Okay, so in the 2D levels, he controls fine, but he's way too fucking slow. And the regular 3D ones, they made his turning clunkier for some reason? Like, genuinely, look at this comparison of me jumping and turning in the overworld and then jumping and turning in Cyberspace. Yuck. But despite that, these levels can be fun at times. I do enjoy them, it's just that they could have been so much better and also good.
God, I fucking hate video games!
Alright, well that's enough Cyberspace talk for now. Let's get back to helping Amy. Mario touches a snow globe and it gets absorbed into his arm. Somehow. And Amy is now free somewhat. She's still kind of anchored in another reality and chasing us on top of 2 rolling pillars, but she's technically free. She is stuck in cyberspace, but can also talk to Sonic, because if she couldn't, this would be very boring. Each character we rescue usually has a side plot going on, usually revolving the Coco, and Amy's plot is her trying to reunite one with its long-lost lover. Oh yeah, I didn't explain the Cocos. You know Koroks? That. I was gonna go on into a tangent about something else, but now that I'm thinking about it, Cocos are exactly like Koroks. There is a big member of their species that can give you things to return and for upgrades. In Zelda, it's inventory space, but in Sonic, one of the Cocos will let you upgrade your attack and defense, and the other one will let you upgrade your speed and rings? How the f would upgrade rings? It's capped at 400. Do you need more? One of them you need to collect weird looking egg things, and the other one you need to give Cocos to. And you can find Cocos just scattered everywhere. They're not hidden or anything. So earlier I was talking about how cyberspace levels is how you get keys, and keys is how you get Chaos Emeralds. But you might have noticed when I didn't show the map earlier that there are only 3 Chaos Emeralds you can get that way. Well, that's because the other 3 are unlocked by helping Amy with her Coco shenanigans. Like one where you have to round up a bunch of them, or the second one where you have to remove a bunch of grass in a field of wasps. Of course, the Chaos Emerald was rewarded for that. The last time I did gardening is starting to make a lot more sense now. And the third one, which I forgot, because all of these are equally forgettable. Anyway, Amy's quest finishes up by Sonic Adventure Chaos and Fem Chaos running towards each other before exploding. Who cares? Sorry if it sounds like I'm being mean towards this, but I legitimately do not care about the tragic Chao backstory. Also, me calling them Chao there was accidental. They're just genuinely that similar. I mean, there's no Coco Garden, but they're generic cutesy little guys to slap somewhere. I got a little sidetracked with Amy's shenanigans, I also kind of forgot to talk about the other big thing that happened here. So Sonic runs into this sassy child of unknown origin, except for there is known origin because it was that thing that Eggman slapped into the Force monolith, and she tells us to f right off. And Sonic quite civilly says no, and gets his ass thrown through like 3 towers and straight into a mountain. This shit is hilarious, I loved it. Sonic invented f***ing around and finding out. Here is Giganto, or Giganto. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm going with Giganto. This guy's the reason we need all the Chaos Emeralds, besides just wanting them. And since we just got all of them, we can go bust up his chops. We only have 6 Chaos Emeralds though, which Giganto has the final one on top of his head. So we need to scale up him using these blue things like a boss earlier in this area I also didn't talk about. Man, I f***ing suck at commentary. After scaling up the Deadly Beastie, we can finally pop that Chaos Emerald and finally go super. Oh, holy shit! So these bosses I'm actually a little bit more mixed on than you'd think. Supersonic, yes, does control well, but the fights has Supersonic feeling pretty button mashy and mindless. Like during the entire fight, I pretty much just mashed the X button and won. It's also incredibly easy because Supersonic can't even die unless you run out of rings, and the game starts you with like 200, so there's no threat of dying during those like ever. And the positives, I don't care about any of that because this was fucking rad. Holy shit, this music's incredible. God damn, this spectacle is great. Something from the Bible swear word, this felt cool. I mean, if you want difficult boss fights, or at least the challenging ones, those are usually just scattered across the island, and we will get to them soon after this, I assure you. But the Supersonic fights are just meant to be pure spectacle, and honestly, I'm okay with that. It would be around now where I play the song that's in the background and say, hey guys, look at this. But honestly, you've already heard the songs to the Titan fights, there's no point. We get Giganto down to half health, and he summons a bunch of lasers to try to make the fight harder, and I never thought I'd be able to find a use for this Gravity Falls clip, but here we are.
Give it up, dudes. Your fighting only makes us look more rad.
Anyhow, Giganto runs out of health, and we give him a shot through the heart because he was too late, and Amy runs up and gives Love a bad name. We have a small chat with her, then blast out of there, onto the second island. Welcome to the US. I can tell this is the USA because Sonic's attempt to migrate here illegally resulted in him getting shot and losing all of his jewels. Welcome to Ares Island. I have the power of remembering the names of things after being racist. By far the biggest island out of all of them. Jesus Christ, it's huge. Since we have such a big area, we might as well talk about how Sonic controls finally. I already talked about how he plays in cyberspace levels, that being f***ing gross, but how about the overworld? Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, so just walk with me for a second here. Holding RT lets you boost, typical Sonic stuff. Holding Y will let you Psy-loop, a new move created specifically for this game. Instead of having Sonic interact with literally anything, just loop around and bam, it works. You can consistently create circles to make an infinite ring farm, which is funny. Also, at the same time, who cares? It's not like having a bunch of rings breaks the game. It just makes you go faster if you get 400. He has a double jump, which I don't think I'll need to explain, and holding the jump button after said jump will let you perform the drop dash from Mania. It's really funny to me that the spin dash isn't a thing he can do, but he can drop dash. Like, I can't drive this car, but I'm really good at drifting. Hitting in on the left stick will let him do the light speed dash from Adventure 1 and 2. Unfortunately, unlike those games, he'll instantly stop all momentum he had going into it and just kind of sit there in the air for a minute. It's whack. And finally, the homing attack, which does exactly as it has done for years. Now, all of this is good, but there's some kinks with his movement that I need to address. For example, his jump. Now, that's a really weird thing to have a complaint about on paper, but let me show you it like this. So I'm on Kronos Island, and I'm jumping next to this pole. Now, Sonic's regular jump will not let him get close to the top of it, but if I come over here and jump off this ramp while using my boost, I will have enough momentum to reach the top. But for no reason whatsoever, let's just jump off this other ramp. Yeah, so when you jump out of a boost, he doesn't actually keep his momentum when he jumps, causing him to immediately come to a screeching halt as soon as he enters the air. Or even worse, if you want to run off a cliff to get some momentum going to the other side, he'll magnetize to the cliff in a Sig Mario Kart 8 reference. It feels good, but dear God, they needed to tweak this some. And I'm currently playing the most updated version, and he's still doing it, so I guess this is just how it is going to be forever. There's probably a mod that fixes this, but I'm not stooping that low to let mods fix the game for me. Now, the other way Sonic controls is the combat. You probably already know this, but this game has a huge focus on its combat, and how is it? Okay, well, it's actually not that bad, but it felt that way for a while. That's because Sonic has a skill tree. This is the worst skill tree I've ever seen in my life. Someone made this at gunpoint. This looks horrible. Genuinely, who made this? No, this isn't a nitpick. This is hindering my experience. F this skill tree. There's a variety of things Sonic can perform in combat, such as these projectile things, the Psy-loop, as I mentioned before, regular kicks and punches, but almost all of these he unlocks through either helping his friends or either just progressing the skill tree. So for the first island, it really felt like mashing buttons until things things die. It's kind of boring, but as the game goes on and you get more XP, it definitely picks up a lot, and actually kind of starts feeling quite good. Behold, a flying hedgehog! Anyway, so let's actually talk about Ares Island now. It's here where we find Knuckles, surprisingly, who wasn't a part of the kidnapped crew, who apparently stumbled upon some ruins on Angel Island and wound up here. You would have known this if you watched a completely unrelated YouTube video that wasn't actually part of the game. Great, cool, awesome. Like, it couldn't have been a bonus thing in, like, the options menu or something. Anyhow, he's here trying to make some Coco into soldiers, because insert Sonic Forces reference here. Usual stuff goes forward. Get gears, do cyberspace levels, get keys, get emeralds, get good. Might as well start talking about the bosses you have to fight to get those gears. And the ones on Ares Island I actually really like. Yes, I can enjoy a Sonic game, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if you hear clicking in the background. I'm mob farming right now in Minecraft. There's Sumo, who you have to bounce into an electrical gate, then charge straight at, Aaron Ryan style. There's Tank, that'll send you into the sky in a tornado where you have to hit its weak spots while spinning. This tower thing with grind rails I forgot about until proofreading the script, whoopsies. And Shark, which is a glorified QuickTime event. We were so close to having all of them be cool. We might as well talk about all of the bosses while I'm here. Going back to Kronos Island, we have Big Lady. You have to climb up her arms and wail upon these pillars until it's dead. Squid, who can go to hell, and Ninja, who we fought already. Okay, Squid, right? It flies around the map, can randomly run into you, disturbing the entire flow of everything, and worse off, its boss isn't even fun to fight. It'll span across the entire map with these glowing pathways you have to run across while it shoots these little balls at you, and worse off, if it starts to go upwards while shooting these little balls, you have barely any time to react. It sucks. That's all we got for now, though. But on the topic of bosses, after you collect your first Chaos Emerald on the island, Big Boy comes down to play. We have a Temple Run sequence that has Sonic running way slower than he should. Like, this feels really weird. Also, at the same time, I'm kind of glad he's running slowly during this segment because it would be a million times harder if he was going fast. We outrun the Terraria hard mode enemy, and that sassy child tells us to do something YouTube won't let me say to ourselves and leaves again. From here, it's the regular jazz of collecting emeralds from vaults and a friend we have to save. Since this island is, as I mentioned previously, f***ing huge, let's talk about the things you can do on these islands. All over the place, you'll find these platforming challenges you can do that usually reward you with goodies, typically of the friend token variety, and you need friend tokens to talk to people, so you're paying to be their friends. A surprising amount of realism for Sonic. You can also find these little challenges scattered everywhere that'll make you do something so you can expand the map. All these are incredibly underwhelming and stupidly easy. Next, there are these island challenge things you can find that upon side looping will start playing some groovy music and a bunch of balls everywhere. I did like 5 of these and got rewarded with nothing. I don't know the purpose of this. And the final thing you can find are these characters to interact with, such as Sage, the respective guy for the island, like Knuckles and Amy. They'll just have some random dialogue about the surroundings. It's nothing special. And that's pretty much everything you can find around here from memory. Really thought I would be able to get more out of that. I do love these interactions between Sonic and Knuckles, though. They're such brothers, I love it. Alright, I'm just gonna fast forward some now. I want to fight Rayquaza. So allow me to sum up everything that happened plot-wise on this island in one page of script. So Knuckles trains some army guys you have to get out from bottoms of pillars that smash down, then round them up like the exact same thing we did from the first island, and it played the f***ing animation of me getting a Chaos Emerald, but it didn't give it to me because there was more to do, so why did you even play it in the first place? And we get to see some people in the past get iced. Awesome. On to the boss of Ares Island, the big man herself, Wyvern. This is probably my favorite scale to the boss of any of them. You have to climb up this tower, then jump onto it, leading to riding on its coattails like the squid boss. It's nuts. And it gets even better when you're actually fighting her. Look at this. Does this not look fucking awesome? I do not care that all I'm doing is just holding both shoulder buttons. This is sick as hell. You have to parry its missiles back at her, then parry its claw swipe, then you'll be able to wail on it, all while flying across the entire island with the most kick-ass theme playing in the background. God, I made a video about this that got 120k views. Fuck! This is what I love to see in video game bosses. That makes you feel like an ant fighting against them, only for you to get through to the second half and feel like you're on top of the world, beating the snot out of them. Title Defense Mr. Sandman, the Resourceful Rat, Void Termina, and now Wyvern are some of my favorite bosses. Bosses that make you feel really small in comparison to them, just for you to whittle them down some to get them onto your level, have always felt super satisfying for me, and Wyvern nails that perfectly. All of them vary drastically in difficulty, obviously, but spectacle has always been something I value in a boss, and god fucking damn does Wyvern knock it out of the park. Man, this final QuickTime event as well just feels fantastic. Sonic dodging a bunch of missiles, then throwing into the beast's mouth is badass. Top 10 fights of all time right here. She goes below Aaron Ryan, but right above Egg Reverie. How many goddamn times am I gonna bring up Punch-Out in this video? Anyway, with Wyvern busted up, we speak to Knuckles one last time before careening off to the next island, where we'll hopefully find Tails. Chaos Island. So this is the most island in the game, by far. Even Sonic looks like he has a migraine here. I will get to my complaints about this island in a little bit, but right now, let's go find Tails. Hey, sorry I sound really weird for the rest of this video, or at least like the next 20 minutes. I ask for your sympathy because I got my wisdom teeth pulled like 2 weeks ago, and I had to record this in segments because every time I kept talking for longer than 15 minutes, my mouth really hurt. My bad. So we bust Tails out of his snow globe, and Sonic is starting to look pretty beat up, I'll say that. The cyber goop has gotten to him. Tails says he'll go look for chests, emeralds, as we sit here and slowly die. I do like the immersion between the player and Sonic, though, because the pain Sonic is experiencing right now is also the pain I experienced while playing on this island. Okay, so I already mentioned that the 2D controls aren't very good, to say the least, but it wasn't horrible because it didn't happen too often. But this island fucking loves 2D segments. They're all over the place. I'll just be walking around having a good time and accidentally step on a spring, and well, look who just got stuck in the second dimension. I'll just side loop a chest, and Christ! This is the most obnoxious level design I've ever experienced. And while I'm complaining, let's dedicate this entire island to all of my gripes with this game. So the Titan themes are fantastic, obviously, but outside of that, the music in the game isn't that great? I mean, some things are good, like the Island Challenge theme, but the rest is just that patented, I want to be Breath of the Wild so bad it hurts, so I'll put a random piano every 20 seconds as my soundtrack kind of music. Luckily, there is a way to turn on different music from older Sonic games, though, with the jukebox they introduced. But unfortunately, if you don't have it set to default, it'll keep playing their custom music through cutscenes, so you get moments like this.
Ages ago, my people were wiped out by a cataclysm.
It would have been very nice if they turned off custom music during cinematics. The rails. They're fucking everywhere. Would it have been too much to have some kind of futuristic floaty thingies on the bottom of these? Or at least not make them look like it was made in Halo Forge? Or at least make it to where I can see them from 2 feet away? This game has very bad pop-in problems, and don't tell me the console I'm playing on can't handle it. My PC could f*** your mom and take her out to dinner. Don't tell me it can't run Sonic. Maybe they wouldn't have put grind rails everywhere if Sonic moved even barely fast on the ground. Look how far I can jump when I'm boosting off a rail compared to boosting into a jump. It feels gross.
That's it. If this game's getting any better, I'm gonna need to contact a higher power to help me.
911, what's your emergency?
Sonic sucks, help!
Yeah, so you just need to go to the gameplay menu and scroll underneath where it looks like it stops, and then you'll be able to fix the momentum.
Okay.
Nobody told me there was a fucking hidden menu. This is not McDonald's. This game feels so good now. What the fuck? Turn both decelerations off and jump momentum on. I can't believe this is an option, let alone one that wouldn't be on by default. But what is Sega but consistent? And the final two complaints that are specific to this island. The pop-in is a problem with every island, but a whole lot more noticeable with this one, considering you have to use specific grind rails to get to other parts of the island. And Sonic magnetizing to the ground is very annoying, most egregiously here, because there are sometimes lava flows that Sonic will just run straight down into, making me lose like 5 minutes of progress. Also, why is there no fast travel? I get it's a Sonic game, all travel is fast travel, but this island would much benefit from one. Okay, I'm done complaining now. Sorry if that was a lot, but that's pretty much everything I did not like for now. Anyways, after dreading my way through 15 2D segments, we can make up with Tails again as he shows us a slideshow he just finished drawing of what happened in the past. This game was rushed, I'm not mad, I just thought it was funny. Run around, get Chaos Emeralds, blah 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 blah. Shit, that guy just threw a spiked frisbee at me, Jesus Christ. I caught Eggman trying to pirate Ikaruga. Do this very annoying mission where you have to get a bunch of screws and nuts, but the platforms keep falling. That wasn't great. Blah blah blah, get through the island. You get the gist. But this island reminds me of what I really do like about this game. The characters and animations. Everybody, except for Amy, is characterized very well here, and I like it a lot. Knuckles debating with himself if he should go out and explore the world like he wants to, or fulfill his purpose of guarding the Master Emerald. Tails debating with himself and wanting to know if he's a burden to Sonic because of how inconsistent he is, like running away in forces. I really like that they acknowledge that, by the way, instead of just releasing a bad game, then retconning it forever to where we can never bring it up or its events ever again. Of course, Sonic being the good guy cheers them back up, but it's still nice to see this level of depth for Sonic in once in a while, especially coming from our new character who I have barely talked about up until this point, Sage. Sage has been nothing but a foil for Sonic, but that's because she was created by Robotnik, so obviously. But she's the most sentient thing Eggman has ever created. With Sage sticking the Titans on Sonic and having a grumpy attitude the whole time is not great for morale. But throughout the story of the game and the different islands we go to, she witnesses Sonic interacting with his friends and slowly starts to gain free will away from her primary directive of f***ing with that there hedgehog. I love how Sonic never attacks her either, even stopping Knuckles from doing so back on Ares Island because he knows she's not attacking us for her but somebody else. I especially love this interaction, which I will play out in full because I want this video to have longer watch time.
What is your end goal?
It varies. Sometimes it's a spinning sign, sometimes it's a big old ring.
No, I mean, what do you want to accomplish?
Oh. Gather up the Chaos Emeralds and save my friends.
And you're sure that is wise?
Kind of the story of my life.
And the voice that commands you. What if it is leading you to disaster?
If they want to start trouble, I'll stop them too.
You certainly make it sound simple. But your arrogance will be your undoing.
Look, either stop being cryptic and tell me what's going on, or skedaddle.
There would be no point.
Nice find. Take it on over to Tails. I'm gonna keep moving.
I know a lot of people have voiced their distaste for Ian Flynn and his writing, but I honestly love it. I would not mind in the slightest if he wrote for the future of Sonic games, because he really knocked it out of the park for this one. But there is one character in the game that I have yet to bring up or talk about. Amy. Eggman. He's trapped in cyberspace. He sometimes has something to say and not much more. He does get a lot more in depth when examining something else though, his egg memos, but I'll talk about those when the time is right. Oh yeah, but almost forgot the bosses for the area. Boring, annoying, Squid 2.0. So now that that tangent's over, we meet back up with Tails for the final challenge before fighting the Titan. It's a pinball machine, and dude, I'm not even lying to you when I say this is the worst pinball I've ever played in a video game. Sonic Team makes the worst pinball ever. Asked to leave Sega Company. Okay, so these ball physics are absolute trash, okay? It doesn't feel like it's actually moving or reacting to the environment. It feels like it's on a set track going to where it has to go. Not only does the ball feel like piss, but this board is horrible. Just look at it. It's cramped and nasty. And the worst part is you have to get 5 million fucking points to get out of here. Now, getting rings and red rings do give you a score multiplier, but if your ball gets knocked into the hole, tough luck, bucko, because your multiplier will reset. Now, I consider myself something of a pinball snob. Yoku Island Express, Kirby Pinball Land connoisseur. And I think this might be the worst pinball I have ever played in my entire life.
Got it!
Anyway, after that, the knight who is that guy who threw the flying disc that you throw at us earlier decides to conveniently wait in a hole for us to go beat him up. So that's exactly what I'll do. The climb up to him stunk, the bosses or whatever, and Sonic left without saying goodbye to Tails. What an ass. Okay, that's a lie. I did actually kind of like this boss. This one part where he throws his shield around, you have to parry it and launch it back at him was cool. Along with how you finish him where you... That was awesome. Now that the Titan has been dealt with, we get a shot of Kronos Island where some bad juvies going down. Some random ass towers are rising from the ground and Tails is here somehow miraculously. We have to go scale these things or something, so time to do that. Each of them having their own theme. Platforming, 2D platforming, rail grinding, combat. One of them looked like a Mario Maker level, and wall running for some reason. So the first two. The platforming and rail grinding ones are pretty okay. The only thing I didn't like is that if you miss, one jump is all the way back down to the bottom. And this goes for all of these, but it's very hard to attempt and land on a platform down below the tower, mainly because of the pop-in issues. The wall running tower, I just don't understand why it exists. Like, I think they just ran out of ideas. It was very forgettable. In fact, I'm improving this entire segment because I didn't remember this tower happened at all. Just didn't really leave an impression. But the other three did leave an impression, but not in the good way. So the Mario Maker Tower, this was not good.
God, is there anything that does make me happy?
Just look at it, dude. It looks like baby's first ROM hack. It's pathetic. This game was rushed. I'm sorry I'm complaining so much, but Sega, for the love of God, hire more employees. The other 2D one was just as unsavory, but the combat tower takes the cake. So Sonic for most of the game is pretty separated when he's freely running around and doing combat. So that allowed them to use button combinations for certain actions, like RT plus A makes Sonic do a cross attack thing, which is regularly the boost button and the jump button, which is fine. Or like how Y plus B equals the stomp thing. This works so Sonic can perform a bunch of different attacks and make it all flow together. But the combat tower makes you do both platforming and combat. So I'm trying to boost and jump at the same time, but the game makes me do this cross attack against an enemy I didn't even want to attack in the first place, and since the cross attack makes Sonic spin in a circle, it literally placed me off the platform and I fall. This was the most annoying part of the game, I'm not even lying.
God, I would hate this game if I had to climb towers that are any more difficult than this.
Anyway, at the top of all of these, we hit a button, Sonic gets a vision of some kind of ancient civilization coming to Earth, or Mobius, or whatever we're calling it nowadays. One where they're evacuating their planet gets destroyed, the Chaos Emeralds react to the Master Emerald, which is on Earth, the Elder gets informed, confirm that the thing that blew up their planet is coming to where they are, one I accidentally skipped, whoops, and the final one where the Titans get used as battle mechs to fight the space goo invasion. And all while this is going on, Sonic is getting progressively more punch drunk. Look at him, he's not doing great. And after enough time, he succumbs to cyber corruption, as Sage calls it, right as everybody gets out of cyberspace, including Eggman, who's been trapped there the whole time. Then everybody holds hands, and through the power of something, they free Sonic of his cyber corruption and then die, supposedly. Sonic and Eggman team up as we head to the final island.
I'm willing to brush past that.
On to the final island, whatever it was named. I would have really liked it if it didn't look exactly like Kronos Island, except for there are now flowers everywhere and it's big as f. This time around, we have to help out Sage and collect her token things. Unlike the other islands, though, you don't get Chaos Emeralds through helping her, you exclusively get them through Vault Keys, which means they need more cyberspace levels, which means they put 9 of them on this island. Dude, I was fine with cyberspace levels when it was just 4 per island, but man, they're obnoxious here. Probably my least favorite parts of the game, honestly. Not even the music is good, like listen to the 4-1 theme. Luckily, there's a solution to this big problem, and it is a big solution. So somehow, Big the Cat was also wound up here and trapped in cyberspace, but he doesn't really seem to mind, because he's kind of just chilling. This is Big's fishing, and is somehow the solution to every problem in the entire game. You can use these purple coins scattered everywhere to fish. The bigger the catch, the more trade tokens you get. And trade tokens can be exchanged for literally everything. Do you hate collecting the memory tokens? Just buy some with trade tokens. Don't like fighting the bosses for gears? Just buy some from Biggie. Don't like doing cyberspace levels at all? Just buy some damn keys! And if you run out of purple coins, you can just spit roast for free and get trade tokens that way. The only problem with him is that you actually have to find him somewhere on the island, which can be an issue, but usually isn't hard, except for on Ares Island, where I didn't find him at all. He has no motivations, he has no end goal, and he bunts the game up from a 7 to an 8. Godspeed, Mr. Big. But there's also other things you can get from Big, including attack and defense eggs and the egg memos. Now that the time is right, we might as well talk about these. These are all data logs from the Oval Man detailing his time in cyberspace. There's no point to talk about these when listening to them is infinitely better, but I do like the final one where he talks about Sage.
Sage has been crucial to my survival here in cyberspace. Early warnings of hostile entities, guiding me past firewalls, keeping me updated on progress in the real world. She's the best. It's a program. An adorable program, a very personable program, I wonder if she has a preference.
Trans rights are human rights, Sonic! Whoever voices Eggman in this game should read ebooks, I love him. Anyhow, after getting like a billion Vault Keys and beating Sage's Ikaruga high score twice, we are free to go collect the 6th Chaos Emerald. Before that though, let's talk about the bosses on the island, and they are really all over the place for this one. So we have Caterpillar, who's honestly just boring, you just have to grind rail around it. Ghost, which is actually really good, might be one of my favorites. You can't attack it directly, instead you have to do platforming challenges while it drains your rings, and a kick-ass theme plays, which is actually really good. And the others, which are just reskins and slight variations on the Pillar and Ninja from the first island, lame. Okay, so time to go get the last Chaos Emerald, and finish this roller coaster of emotions that is a game. We grab the final Chaos Emerald, and instead of the final one being on the Titan like usual, Eggman comes up and gives it to us because he's such a nice guy. Also because Sage wanted us to work together to fulfill her fanship or something. Now that we finally have all the emeralds, we can go super and fight the big bad, Supreme. Went down in 2 minutes. God, they did not give this guy enough health. He crumbled upon breathing on him a little weirdly. It was pathetic. I do like his design though, even if he's just Giganto number 2. I like his gun. After defeating him, that stuff that chased the ancients from their home poured out of him, and Sage says it merely retreated into space, so she jumps into the cockpit of it and we follow it into orbit. And it is time to fight the end. The moon. I have no idea why this thing is the moon, like really why. So here's something fun. If you played this game on normal easy, this final interaction would just be a quick time event, but if you're playing on hard mode like me, you get the final boss. More Ikaruga. Okay, I've been using this as a gag, but let me explain. Hitting RB lets you do dark shots, and hitting LB lets you do light shots. And holding either or will let you both shoot and go through bullets of the same color. Also, this is the disembodied voice that Sonic was talking to at the beginning of the game, forgot to mention that, whoops. Now, what the end did anticipate was Sonic and Sage. What she didn't anticipate was my 100 hours in Enter the Gungeon. Okay, I know nobody else is going to make this comparison, but this boss is literally just the hegemony of man fight from the Gungeon. I'm dead serious. Anyways, it's actually pretty hard, hard, but since I'm god tier gamer, I aced it first try. The only difficult part was that shit talking us during the entire fight.
The moon hurt my feelings.
Now that it has been bashed by our tag team duo, Sage grabs Sonic and just fucking chucks him at it, sending him through it. Unfortunately, Sonic accidentally left his wallet inside of the end, and Sage tries to grab it at the last second, but unfortunately explodes in the process. And the day has been saved. All of Sonic's friends are out of cyberspace, Eggman gets egg pression, and Sonic and friends go back home. Also, Sage is alive in an after credits, huzzah. It really makes a shot of Eggman on a cliff hit a lot less hard when 5 minutes later you reveal she's alive. So that's Sonic Frontiers. Have my opinions changed on it since I last played it a year ago? No. Sonic Frontiers is a good game. A heavily flawed good game, but nevertheless a good game. Story, characters, gameplay, all solid. Combat, level designs, both in cyberspace and the overworld, could definitely use some tweaks. A solid 8 out of 10 game. A definite step in the right direction for what could come in the future. Seriously, Sonic Frontiers 2 could be a masterpiece. But what could come in the future could come in the right now, because this game got post-launch DLC for free. It added a new story, characters, 40 new fucking music tracks. I would like to remind everybody that Amy Alone in Sonic Origins was $10, and this was free. Just for no reason, I thought I'd bring that up. Also, because I'll have no other opportunity to bring this up, but did you know you could get the entirety of Cuphead The Delicious Last Course and like 2 McDonald's hash browns for the price of just Amy? Sonic Team can decide if they want to drain my money or give me things for free. So it's time for Update 3. My audio's changed again, woo! So near the beginning of the final island, there's a portal you can jump into, leading you to an alternate version of the final island. So this entire thing is basically one extra year of dev time gets you. Sage says to Sonic, hey, remember those guys who just sacrificed themselves so you can Sonic free ride again? Yeah, what if we undid everything they just did, lol? So Sonic gets his cyber corruption back, and Tails, Amy, and Knuckles are back from the Great Beyond. Sonic uses the fundamentals of Dendori and delegates his labor of finding the Chaos Emeralds off to his friends while he goes to play Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. So all of Sonic's friends are now playable. Amy is probably my favorite. She gets a triple jump with a glide, this rad-ass drift thing, and other things that I haven't unlocked at the time of me scripting this that are probably cool. Knuckles, who I really wish I wasn't playing as right now, and Tails, who can fly. Okay, so Knuckles, right? He's supposed to be tougher than the rest of them, right? But IDK, man, he just feels clunky. His glide now does a little spin thing upon starting up instead of just doing it, which doesn't feel natural in the slightest. He has this slam he can do with the Psy-Loop button, but like, I've never used this at all, and he just doesn't feel great or anything. And you also have to unlock the parry, so he's not good for combat, which you would expect him to be. He's just not good at all. But I thought Tails was pretty cool. He can obviously fly, which is literally just what Knuckles can do, but better. Throw wrenches, which is very funny to spam, and a myriad of other things, like using his mech from SA2. Both of these guys feel really good, and Knuckles. Well, they're going to go get the Chaos Emerald. Sonic has to climb these 4 towers for some reason. And boy, are these things harder than the last towers. They actually weren't as bad as I was expecting, like the internet people hyped them up to be. Yes, they were difficult, no doubt, but not nearly as hard as I was expecting. Also, is it just me or is the pop-in better now? Like, I can actually see the platforms that are ways below me. Anyways, after you get to the top, 2 people who piloted the Titans from before are pretty upset that you blew up their things, so you now have to fight them at the top of these towers. And dude, these challenges are downright unfair. The first one was just not fun. I got jumped by like 6 guys and they all pounded on my ass. It was annoying. After that, the tower is complete and the second one opens. Repeat for all of them. Oh yeah, and they didn't just put Sonic here without changing him. They also added the spin dash, but made it feel like junk. So it's pretty clunky outright, but if you accidentally hit the button in the air, he gets locked into charging spin dash and you drop like a rock. It's annoying. Boost can cover pretty much everything it sets out to do. I don't use it very often. Towers 2, 3, and 4 are all pretty equally difficulty, honestly. They weren't really a problem for me, unfortunately, because I wanted them to kick my ass. What did kick my ass was the second trial with the Coco guy, because dear fucking god, this was annoying. It takes away all of your abilities except for Psy-Looping and the parry, so I assume I had to Psy-Loop these guys. Then attack, but that wasn't working within the time limit, so I switched up my strategy of letting it attack me, then attacking it, which also didn't work. So I developed a final strategy of parrying its shield, dealing damage to it, then parrying it when it comes back, and it just barely worked. This game was fun, but that was not. And it's funny because the final 2 you would expect to be absolute hell, but they were fucking cakewalks. After cleaning up the 4 of them, Sonic gets rid of his corruption, and Amy, Tails, and Knuckles get 3 of the Chaos Emeralds. But unfortunately, right after that, the end starts corrupting the island, and when I say corrupting the island, I mean causing 0 visual changes to anything, but it might do it, maybe. Amy says she'll go take care of saving the Coco, while Knuckles and Tails get more emeralds.
I then proceeded to spend 40 fucking minutes wandering around aimlessly, only for the game to give them to me through RNG and spawning a meteor shower, which gave me 12,000 of them.
Okay, so there are these little purple things all over the place, and they can only be activated by the character-specific special Psyloop. Not just Psyloop around them, no. Each of them have a unique move that can unlock by upgrading the Psyloop in the skill tree. Like Knuckles can slam on the ground, or Tails can shoot a cannon. Well, I didn't know that the only way to get Coco was to activate the purple things with Amy's unique one. And I didn't have enough XP to get it because I spent all my XP on the cooler looking upgrades, like the one that gives her General Grievous bike wheel mode. So unless I sat there Psylooping in circles for 10 minutes to get 15 XP, I was dead in the water. Fortunately, RNG God saved me though. After she gathered them all up, she makes her way to another Chaos Emerald. We switch back to Knuckles, so I'm getting very tired now. Amy and Tails can do everything he can, but better. I am very annoyed by him. Almost everything that I did with him was a blur, so yay, another emerald. Okay, I know I was just complimenting the Poppin being better, but I'm going to immediately take back what I say because Tails falls apart with the Poppin problems. I needed to get to the emerald, which was way in the sky, but the way of getting to there was on the other side of the map, which I would have figured out if I could see the platforms leading to it. Also, all of them accidentally left their cyber ibuprofen at home, so now they're all suffering from mild exhaustion at the hands of the corruption. No time to dwell on that, though. Back to Sonic, where we get to climb the 5th tower, and what I would assume to be the final tower. At the top of the tower, you find this stupid boss rush took me 2 goddamn hours. I don't have the video evidence to prove that because my PC crashed during one of the 40-minute recordings, Radical. So you have to refight all of the Titans, but this time with a new perfect parry, the old Coco guy following you around the whole time, and a ring count shared between all of the bosses. So if you end Giganto with 300 rings, you begin Wyvern with 300 rings, which is already really unfair, but the perfect parry is like a 2-frame window. Now, if you don't see why that's bad, let me telegraph that real quick. And I'm going to use Punch-Out for the Wii as an example again, because that game is awesome. Right before a boxer is about to hit Little Mac, they'll turn completely red and typically make some kind of sound effect to telegraph to the player that this is their chance to step out of the way or counterpunch. But in Sonic Frontiers, all of the moves are so ginormous that it's incredibly hard to telegraph when you're supposed to even parry. Luckily, if you change the game's mode to easy, it's like a 2-second window, so this is at least better. I could go on. Wyvern's forced waiting time becoming a huge issue now, the Knight's shield riding becoming also forced waiting time. This is the worst part in any Sonic game I've ever had to play. Right up there with that one Rouge the Bat level in space of Sonic Adventure 2. I also never beat 06, so don't beat me up for that. Now that Master Dickface's challenge has been beat, he gives you a new way to use your super energy and convert it into a new form. So it's finally time to end this. Sonic rushes back to his friends, who have now gathered all of the Chaos Emeralds, plus Robotnik, and it's time to go fight Supreme again.
Yeah, those wings disappear after this cutscene, by the way.
Wait, did you? I didn't even notice that.
You didn't? You didn't notice?
Oh my god. But this time he's got a trick up his sleeve. The moon comes down from space and gives Supreme a boost, which is essentially just them adding extra arms and a funnel onto his head. But Sonic has also got something in the works to combat this. Tapping in his new super form, he gets blue eyes! This new form uses the perfect parry. The second phase is a little underwhelming and extremely frustrating because it requires you to do something that has never been required once in the entire game. So if you hit RB, Sonic will change his target in the middle of a combo. If it explains this, then I forgot, because it has never been required even once, and if you ever want to attack that tube on its head and stop it from healing, you're gonna have to do this. Thankfully, my BF, best friend, has played this game 20 goddamn times, and also doesn't have anything ever going on, so he became my Sonic coach for the final boss. After making it through that puny second phase, we can Psyloop the gun right off of its back and attach it to the egg mobile. And after draining its health bar one last time, we can finally begin the final phase. Everything's heating up. Sonic's in the gun pointed straight at it and transforms into a new cyber form that makes him bluer. This is it. The final confrontation. These last 40-ish minutes have all led up to this. It's time for the... I'm not gonna be able to play as him, am I? Damn it. So you mean to tell me the entire game, we have seen Sonic get corrupted by this cyberspace skunk over and over again, nearly losing his life to it, and if it wasn't for his friends, then gaining a super cool new form out of it, only for it to be a 20-second cutscene. I might just be a little upset by this. Okay, deadass, I was considering stopping this whole damn review at the final trial of Tower 5 and just saying, F this game, I'm not beating it, and I am now happy to say I was not missing out on anything. So now that I've beaten Update 3, my score of the game has gone from an 8 out of 10 to a monstrous 8 out of 10. Yeah, I'm sorry folks, but this didn't really do anything for me. I think I actually preferred the original ending. Not well thought out new characters, batshit difficulty, still very bad pop-in issues, which is worse now because of how this area is designed, and a very lackluster ending. Now, I did like some some stuff about it, of course. More content is always good, and especially since it was free, so take all these complaints with a grain of salt, since I literally didn't have to pay for it. Tails and Amy were at least kind of fun, and also really good new music. Like, they wrote 40 new tracks for this. That's insane. Overall, Sonic Frontiers is a good game. At times, an amazing game, but I just can't overlook my complaints and say this is a masterpiece, even though I really want it to be.
Sonic Frontiers is like a child in a way, in the same vein that they're...
What the hell are you doing in my study?
Did you yourself? You'll never catch me alive! You'll never...
Hope I don't. Freeloading weirdo.